Hey everybody, welcome to Average Guy Opinions. I'm your average guy, John Corelli. This is episode 114. I want to talk about losers. There's a couple different levels. There's a show on Netflix called Losers, and it's a really cool concept for a show. It's basically sports figures that had a memorable or sometimes a very infamous, just terrible thing happen to them. Generally, it's guys who were very briefly like a guy named Michael Bent who knocked out Tommy Morrison for the world championship. Those of you who know Tommy Morrison, is basically the last great white hope, at least in the United States, for winning the heavyweight championship, which he won. And then Michael Bent was kind of thrown up there as a patsy, almost as a tune-up fight. I think before Morrison was supposed to fight Lennox Lewis, and Bent beat him. And the story is, I mean, then the next fight that Bent went to for his title defense, he was knocked out like in the first round and had to be put in a brain induced or a doctor induced coma for 4 days because his brain was swollen. And it's really a tearjerker. The guy's right around my age, maybe a few years younger. He's right around 50. Super intelligent. And I think got lucky because he was like a lifelong boxer, and he took a lot of punches, and we all see how a lot of boxers don't do very well. Muhammad Ali is a perfect example of that. Those punches to the head pile up, and they often leave you with a lot of brain damage. This guy seems very lucid and super intelligent, and thankfully he has survived. And the point of the show is to show that these guys who a lot of the world considers losers are actually winning at life and doing things that are amazing. Like this guy actually helps train actors. He does some acting himself because, like I said, he's not that you have to be super smart to be an actor, but he's smart enough to be good at it. He actually played Sonny Liston. So he played a boxer. He played Sonny Liston in the Muhammad Ali movie that Will Smith did a while back, and he actually trains boxers and actors. So it's pretty cool what this guy has done with his life. I mean, there's parts where I was crying. I'm noticing that about myself as a true loser myself. I really am crying more as I get older, which is I think is good because I'm finding within me some things I needed to find. I think I found that I needed to be an emotional person. I mean, I've always been that, and my mom always allowed for it. My father even allowed for it. Stepdad wasn't quite as much into that. He came from a very cold, unemotional family, and so I think I may have seen that growing up. But my mom, kind of walked the walk and talked the talk, and let me pretty much be that person, which is great. But I think as you get older and things happen to you, you get hardened, and now I'm starting to soften a little bit, and it's really a gift. So I'm crying watching this show. I mean, because this guy's father was just terrible. He's one of those typical vicarious fathers, meaning, I wanted to be a boxer, but I didn't do very good at it. You're going to be a boxer. You're my son. You will be a boxer. Michael Bent went to his father one day. I think he was like 12 or 13. He said, "I don't want to box anymore. I'm done." And his father beat the shit out of him. And so he kept doing it, and he got super good at it. He was like a 5-time Golden Gloves champion. Didn't do that great in the pros, but then got his shot and won the championship. Didn't even want to really, but he's like, "This is what I'm good at. It's all I know." And his dad just sounded like a horrible person. Not going to get on fathers. I've done that already on some of these videos. My father's did good stuff and bad stuff growing up. I never got the shit beat out of me, so that was thank you, Joe and Russ, for that. And my mom didn't either, by the way, just in case you think there's a default there. No, mom was pretty great, as you know, if you've seen any of these videos, how crazy I am about my mom. But this show is just a great example of kind of how the way I've had to live my life. I haven't won much, I've been very blessed. I'm not going to say I haven't, but I've never really won anything. Any athletic endeavor I've been in, I haven't won. I've never won a comedy contest. Not that I've been in a lot of those, and there's just not much I've won at. I feel like I've won at life because I've done a lot of cool things, and I'm happy. And I've raised 2 pretty good kids, so that's enough for me, really. And I get to influence other kids at work. Just today, I was having a great time at work with the kids. I get to be a part of their lives, and it's a gift, and it's wonderful. And lucky enough to realize it and not just see it as a job. I mean, I need the money, but it is really one of those things where if you don't feel that old adage, whereas if you don't, if you love your job, you never work a day in your life. And that's how I feel about going into that high school every day. It's pretty great. I do want to show you something that's kind of funny though that this losers program reminded me of, and it is the one and only trophy I've ever quote unquote won. And here it is. Looks pretty huge. Looks pretty big, doesn't it? No. Well, look how it's about 3 inches tall. It's small. If you can see that, let me get up to the camera. It says John. It says Fall 78 John. Spelled my name right, so I appreciate that. It's a soccer trophy. It looks more like a guy who is just starting to bowl, put a ball down the lane and dropped it on his foot, I think. But that's a soccer trophy. And you could ask my mom. I was on a horrific team. We were always bad. We'd win one, maybe two games a year. Some years we won no games. And I was honestly, I'm not bragging. I'm not a great athlete, but I play hard, and I was often the best player on the team. My mom's like, "You got to get on another team." I was like, "You're the best player wallowing," and I was just like, you know what? Honestly, I'm kind of glad. I think it taught me a lot of lessons about life. But one year we had a coach. His name was can't remember his first name. His name was Mr. Geist, and I remember his son Stacy also played on the team, and he was a very nice man. Drove us home all the time. Actually, I will get onto another story about that in a second. But we had a really great year under him. We had an 8-game season, and we won 6 and tied one, and then lost one. Lost one horrifically. Lost 7-0, and that team obviously just cruised the division. They probably won the rec league championship. Not that I cared back then. I was like 78, so I was 11 years old. But yeah, he was nice. He got us all trophies because he knew a lot of those guys on that team had been with that shitty team for like the first 3 or 4 years they've been playing competitive soccer, and it was and so it was a really nice thing that he did. It's the only trophy I have, only trophy I've ever won. So thank you, Mr. Geist. And that brings me to this. This has nothing to do with losers anymore, and I don't have a lot of more theories to share on life. And I've told you about the show. Go watch it. I think it's great. There are other episodes that are wonderful. Most of the episodes are between 20 and 30 minutes. Some are amazing. But I did want to finish with this. I have a friend. We're still Facebook friends. But he was kind of the fat kid on the team. His name was Eric Newsom. Great kid though, and his mom ended up coaching us for a while too. She was great, Nancy Newsom, and she was her and her dad or her and her husband were runners. But Eric was like the fat kid on the team. He played pretty well, but he was. I mean, back then it seemed like every team had one fat kid. He was it for a while. Great guy though, but. So Mr. Geist is dropping us off at Eric's house. He'd take like several of the kids home. Back then you just pile the kids into a Ford Bronco and just go. And so we lived on Eaton Street in Wheat Ridge, and Eric was around 40th and I was around 43rd. So Eric was getting dropped off, and then I was going to get dropped off after him. And he goes to cross in front of the truck, in front of the Bronco, and he just runs out and doesn't look. And this van just trashes him. He lived. I think he broke an arm, maybe a leg, but I think just an arm. But it was horrific. And luckily, I think his weight actually helped him, take the blow. Because, I mean, this van, for Eric, he should have looked. As a kid, you should learn to look both ways when you cross the street. You don't just run across the street, even though it's a residential street. But this van, obviously, was going way too fast and should have seen, there's a vehicle full of people. Maybe somebody's going to get out and cross the street. Maybe I should slow down and approach cautiously. This guy's doing easily 25, 30 miles an hour, which 25 is technically, the residential speed limit. But come on, use your brain. And Eric's head hit the windshield and shattered the windshield. And Eric's laying there just, it was scary. We thought he was going to die. He was just on the street going, it was weird. Like he was speaking in tongues. It was scary. He had a really bad concussion. That's why he was in that condition. But so I guess this whole losers thing and being on those loser teams just reminded me of that kind of horrific thing that happened. Maybe I'll turn this into a two-parter because obviously I'm behind on these episodes. I'm about 5-6 days behind, so I think I'll make this a two-parter and just talk about soccer highlights of when I was a kid. And they're kind of fun memories. I know they might not mean anything to you guys, but my goal is to get through and do 365 of these this year. And Some of them aren't going to be that great. Maybe most of them aren't that great, but they're not always going to be topical. So this one will be more about me. See you in part 2. Thanks, you guys. Bye.